Welcome, everyone. It is July 15th, and 2:35 p.m. is our start time. Welcome to the Parks, Recreation, and Community Services Commission meeting. I'm Regina Alcazar, the president of the commission, and if we can call roll, please.
Sure thing. Commissioners Kalfine,
Present.
Meek,
Here.
Sardabagian,
Present.
Wilson. Wilson is absent. Ex officio Commissioners Kevorkian is not present. Minassian,
Here.
President Alcazar.
Here, thank you. And may we move on to the next item, introductions and presentations.
Yes. Report of the recording clerk, posting of the agenda. The agenda for the July 15, 2024 regular meeting was posted on the bulletin board outside City Hall on or before Friday, July 12, 2024. The next item, introductions and presentations. A, recognition of homeless count volunteers and donors.
Thank you. And I see that we have the first is recognizing our homeless count volunteers and donors.
Good afternoon, President Alcazar, members of the Parks Commission. I'm here today to recognize our volunteers during the homeless count. I do want to say that today we will not be recognizing all of the volunteers, but the organizations who actually donated to the event and contributed to the event. However, we will be recognizing all of our volunteers separately with certificates. So there was just a few organizations that we wanted to highlight today. First, I wanted to invite Tagui Sogomonian up. Tagui will be accepting a certificate for the homeless count on behalf of the Glendale Chamber of Commerce and Glendale leadership. So, Tagui, please come up. Thank you so much for your contribution. And then, oh, of course, did you want to maybe get a picture before? Are we doing individual pictures? Thank you. Thank you, Tagui. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We also wanted to recognize the First Baptist Church for their generous contribution for the count. I'm going to invite up Ted Gonzalez on behalf of First Baptist. Thank you, Ted. Then we're going to recognize our Information Services Department, our team here at ISD. Unfortunately, Hovig and Tao, the two gentlemen that we're recognizing today, they couldn't be with us today. They're at a conference, so we have Irma Esayan accepting the certificate on their behalf.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Irma.
Thank you.
Should we get a picture on their behalf?
Of course, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. The rest are not here today, so you don't have to. Thank you, but I did want to mention them. Of course, our very own Glendale Police Department. We also wanted to recognize PD for their efforts during the count. They help us year after year. Shelter Partnership, which is an organization out in LA that helps provide donations for the night of the count. Unfortunately, they couldn't be here today. And Dignity Health, Glendale Memorial, their entire team not only contributes to the event, but they also volunteer on the day of the event, so we wanted to recognize them as well. And Cesar Salgado, which is a business owner that provided donations to the homeless count as well, jackets, blankets, and other items. He unfortunately couldn't be here today either, but we did want to publicly recognize him as well. And our very own commissioner, Meek, he also volunteered this year for the count, so I wanted to thank you. Year after year, you do help us out during the count, and it's very much appreciated, so thank you as well. We will definitely make sure to send out certificates to all of our volunteers recognizing their efforts. We can't do this alone. It requires the entire community, and we're really grateful to have all of these wonderful organizations and individuals who dedicate their time to help us go out there and meet our unhoused neighbors. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Sion. And again, thank you to all of the volunteers. I usually try to make it every year. Unfortunately, I was sick this year, but just wanted to stress the importance of this count. And so our volunteers are very important part of making sure we get a census count right of our unhoused neighbors, and it contributes to the city securing funding for providing these services to these neighbors. So thank you again for the opportunity to recognize our volunteers. Thank you, Commissioner Meek, for participating in it.
Can we give them a round of applause for all
Yes.
of that?
Let's definitely give them a round of applause. And I think we'll hear a little bit more later
Yes.
in our agenda about the homeless count. So.
Absolutely. Yes, thank you.
And next is the recognition of our Senior Street Fest Gold sponsors.
Yes, President Alcazar, members of the commission, staff is requesting to move this item to the next meeting.
Great, we will hold that for the next meeting.
Okay.
So,
The next item is upcoming council agenda items.
Thank you. Good afternoon, President Alcazar, members of the commission. We have one item coming up this month, which is for tomorrow night. It's a proclamation designating the month of July as Parks Make Life Better Month. So we'll be there tomorrow night. Well, we'll be here tomorrow night. Council chambers receiving our proclamation. Thank you.
thank you.
May I?
Go
Will there be any special event regarding Parks Month?
There won't be, the only special event, the next special event is Cruise Night, which will be held next Saturday between 5:30 and 10:30. We do have Come and Play Day with our day camp program, and I believe that's in August, if I'm not mistaken, but not in July.
Okay, thank you.
Next is for commission staff comments.
I'll open it up to my colleagues. Does anyone have any comments, questions?
I do. I attended the screening at Brand Park Doctor's House Saturday. The movie was Crime Wave. We had a very good turnout. The pie raffle was a humongous hit. Everyone loved it. It was really nice to have the Community Services and Parks, the Brand Associates, the Glendale Historical Society, the Alex Film Society, the Northwest Neighborhood Association all work together to do these type of outdoor screenings free for the public to come out and enjoy the evening. We have another one coming up in August. I believe it's going to be Bye Bye Birdie, and it's a free concert or movie. Come out and see it. The Conservative Parks there's a lot of concerts going on this summer that I encourage all of our residents to go to. They take place at Verdugo Park, at Brand Park and here at Perkins Plaza. So you can check on the City Parks website to see a list of them. Last thing, I would like to have add something to the agenda for our next meeting, if possible. The Fremont Park renovation is ongoing, and I know that the Arts and Culture Commission is looking into different art for the park. I would like the Parks Commission to be a part of this. We could either have a joint session with them, or maybe have 2 of our members and 2 of their members discuss the art projects and then bring it back to the full commission. I would love to get a second for this, to apply it to our agenda for our next meeting.
Great. Thank you, Commissioner Meek. I can second that. Oh, I cannot second that. Can I ask one of my other colleagues to second it, please?
I second that, but so does that mean we're going to have them come to the next meeting, or we just do a special meeting with them?
I would, we could either have a joint meeting like we have had in the past, or maybe we could select 2 of our members and 2 of their members to discuss what the project would be, and then bring the projects back to our individual commissions.
President Alcazar, members of the commission, just to be clear, the agenda item would be to discuss the possibility of that occurring, so that you can have a discussion and also get feedback from staff, correct?
Yes.
To see if that's feasible.
I second that.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Excuse me, it's not clear for me. Are we applying that will be discussed next time, how it's going to happen?
Yeah.
Not, we're not selecting 2 and 2 to meet together.
Correct. It's just to discuss how
approved
this,
yet.
if it's possible and how it could happen.
Chair Alcazar, members of the commission, Library Arts and Culture, they are taking a report to the Arts Commission, I believe this Thursday, to pick the design for Fremont Park. After the design is, or after the design or designs are chosen by the Arts Commission, Library Arts and Culture staff will be bringing a report to the Parks Commission probably in August. Now, if we're going to put this item on the agenda, I recommend asking Library Arts and Culture Commission to bring the Fremont Park project or our project back to our commission in September. So we would need to talk to, I would need to talk to the Director of Libraries or Interim Director of Libraries and let her know that we wish to discuss the feasibility to have a joint meeting at our August meeting and then bring the Fremont Park, our project, back in September. So there's 2 things that are occurring. The first thing that's occurring is that they're taking a report to their commission this Thursday to pick the art. So once that's picked, they're going to bring a report to the Parks Commission in August. Now, do we have them bring the report to commission in August, or should I tell them to put a hold on that report for the Parks Commission, and we bring a report for your request and agendize it?
I think we have the time to hold it before they actually pick the art, because I think it would be important for our commission to be a part of it.
Okay, because it's on their agenda
Yeah,
for Thursday,
and
for this coming Thursday.
I can go to that meeting and talk to them too at that point. But I'd like to see if
Okay.
we can get a hold on that.
Okay, thank you for clarifying the options, Mr. Bilanikian. So are we clear with what the directions are then?
Yes, we're clear on our end. I mean, we'll agendize it and see if we can have a joint meeting with Library Arts and Culture. But after this meeting, I'll go back to Library Arts and Culture staff and ask them if they can hold hold off on putting the Fremont Park on the agenda.
Thank you. With the goal of having potentially a joint meeting instead
Yes,
for next month? Okay.
not next month.
Oh,
We're going to bring an item to the Parks Commission to discuss the feasibility of having a joint meeting with Library, Arts, and Culture regarding Fremont Park. There will be basically a special meeting.
Thank you. Did the other commissioners have any comments? No? Okay. Sure.
I had one more comment I wanted to make, it was basically a very big thank you to Savage Garbadian for sticking with us when we had problems at the screening, prior to the screening on Saturday. He stayed around, got the screen repaired so that we could run our movie, and I wanted to thank him for his devotion and his quick thinking. Thank you.
Okay with that? Okay. I think we can go to the next item, please.
Next item is oral communications. We don't have any callers or speaker cards.
Thank you.
The next item after that's consent items. So the June 17, 2024 meeting minutes aren't available, but will be available on the August 19th meeting agenda for approval. Item 7 is reports, and that's informational.
I'm sorry. So just to clarify,
Uh-huh.
consent items
Yes.
for,
So the meeting minutes for this meeting aren't available, so they will be available in the next meeting.
understood. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I'm just going to pause. Was there something that we missed potentially? Okay. Great.
Excuse me, how about the last meeting minutes? Are we approving those?
Sorry, to clarify, it's the June 17th meeting minutes that are not available for approval at this meeting, and they'll be available at the next meeting, in addition to the ones for this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. So yes, we can move on to item 7, please.
Okay, sure. The next item is reports, and those are information-only reports. Yes. Acceptance of grants funds from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development for the 2023 Continuum of Care Program and the City of Glendale's 2024 Homeless Point in Time Count.
Hello again. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and provide a presentation on the 2024 Homeless Point in Time Count results. Here we go. So this year, the City of Glendale held its Homeless Point in Time Count on January 24th. We had a morning and evening count, both sheltered and unsheltered. So we counted those who were out in the community and unhoused, and also those who were currently in our temporary housing programs or at the emergency shelter. We do this each year because it is a requirement by the Department of Housing and Urban Development. Part of the grant funds that we receive annually, we get a little bit over $2.9 million for the Continuum of Care program, which is a program funded by HUD. This is basically one of those requirements that we complete a PIT count. But we also do it just to connect with the community, to be able to identify some trends. It is just a point in time count. Of course, it doesn't give us the full picture, but it does allow us to kind of identify some patterns and also used in our decision-making process to inform the community and to also look at some gaps that we have in our system. General overview. So this year there was about an 8% decrease in our homeless point in time count. Last year our sheltered population came in at about 106 people. This year we were at 99. The unsheltered population, we had 89 unhoused individuals and families. This year we were at 80, so slightly less than last year. 44% of the population represented the unsheltered. 44% represented the unsheltered population. Overall, from last year to this year, there was a 10% decrease in our unsheltered population. 55% were in our part of our sheltered population. Overall, there was about a 6% decrease here in this population. So if you look at the two between the sheltered and unsheltered, we actually had more people housed on the night of the count than those who were out on the streets, which is what HUD actually ultimately looks at. They do this count every year during the last week of January because they want to be able to tell if the cities or communities, continuums, have enough adequate shelter beds for those who are experiencing homelessness. We had about 30% that were in our emergency shelter program specifically. Last year we were at 54. This year we were at 55. About 35 adults and 20 children were counted for on the night of the count as being enrolled in our emergency shelter programs. 24% were in our transitional housing programs. I do want to say that our transitional housing programs are specifically for those who are fleeing domestic violence, mainly women and children. Last year we were at 52. This year we accounted for 44. So there was about a 15% reduction in our DV population in our transitional housing programs. The other area is chronically homeless population. So unfortunately in this category, we did see a huge spike in our chronically homeless population. And what I mean by chronically homeless is this is a specific definition that HUD sets forth. So individuals have to be continuously homeless for 1 year with a disabling condition, or they have to have 3 episodes of homelessness that are equivalent to 1 year. There's a specific HUD definition that goes along with that. And even though the numbers seem small here, we had 15 last year, we accounted for 38 in our unhoused population. That is a significant increase for us. Sheltered, we went up from 9 to 16. So overall, it was about a 55. We're experiencing about a 55% increase in our chronically homeless population. Sheltered domestic violence, they represented about 62% of the total population. And again, just the comparison from last year to this year, we had 56 last year. This year, it went up slightly to 62. And I do want to mention that this doesn't include those who are doubled up, couch surfing, folks who are on the verge of becoming homeless. So this is specifically those who are already homeless, either unhoused or living in our emergency shelter or transitional housing programs. Unsheltered key findings. During the survey, so we do an electronic survey each year. When we go out into the community, we ask specific questions, and this is done on our phones with the survey. We wanted to know where folks were coming from, the unhoused population. So we have certain categories. As you can see, 59 indicated that they were sleeping outdoors. About 14 were sleeping in their vehicles. And then 4 other, they could even be with family, friends, on and off, living in a hotel, paying for a hotel themselves. But primarily the 2 groups were those who were unhoused and folks that were sleeping in their vehicles. We also asked if any of them were connected to public benefits, and about close to 14% said yes. However, almost 42% said that they were not receiving any kind of public assistance. And the reason why we ask these specific questions, is we want to be able to follow up with the individuals that are in our community that are experiencing homelessness to see how we can connect them to some type of resource to get them to quickly stabilize and get back into housing. We also asked if any of them were employed. About close to 9% said yes. However, majority, about 44%, indicated that they were unemployed at the time. About 15% of the population had some type of a disabling condition. 12 said yes, 33 said no, and unfortunately 34 did not answer. So as I've mentioned previously with these survey questions, because we are conducting the survey early hours in the morning or sometimes really late at night, it is uncomfortable for some of the individuals and families to answer specific questions. So this is one area where unfortunately some people choose not to answer. And you know, it is difficult. There's strangers coming up to you asking specific questions. So we do our very best to collect as much information as we possibly can. However, at times, you'll see that a lot of the questions, there's a lot of don't know refused. About 6% of the population were veterans. In fact, this year we actually came across a single dad with his son who was a veteran experiencing homelessness, which was something that we don't see often during our counts, and this year we happened to come across someone. 3% indicated that they were recently released from jail or prison. And another area that we really look at and we track progress on is the homeless for the first time category. About 30% of the population that we surveyed were experiencing homelessness for the first time, which is very concerning because that number is rapidly growing. So we're trying to see what are some of the reasons folks are becoming homeless for the first time. I did break it out between the age categories just to give us an idea, because in previous years we've noticed that the aging population percentage is going up. The last 2 years specifically, we were noticing this gradual increase in the aging population, primarily those with 62 and above. I do have to say though, this year during the count, about 42% fell within the 45 to 54 age groups. So the 65 and up age groups, they were at 13%, which is a relief. There was a significant decrease in our aging population in that category. And one of the primary reasons we think was because of the EHV program, the Emergency Housing Voucher Program that we have been operating for the last 2 years. Is basically a voucher program similar to Section 8, which provides subsidized housing. And during the assessment process for those programs, we were prioritizing those who fell within the age range of 62 and above. So aging population was also being prioritized. So we think that has something to do with the numbers this year. So I wanted to make mention of that. Unsheltered, other key findings. We also asked during the count how long individuals and families have lived in Glendale and if they became homeless in Glendale. About close to 35% said yes, that they did become homeless in the city of Glendale. Close to 22% said no, and unfortunately 34 did not answer the question. We also further broke that down by the number of years that they were in Glendale prior to becoming homeless. About 14% said less than a year, about 9% within 1 to 5 years, close to 3%, 6 to 10 years. More than 10 years, we had about 16% of the individuals that were unhoused that have been in our city for 10 plus years. And 8%, surprisingly, we do have some folks, about 7, have been in Glendale their entire lives. So they've lived here in our city. And 35 did not answer the survey, unfortunately. We also asked reasons why folks became homeless. We wanted to know what are some of the driving factors, what is causing homelessness, and unfortunately we couldn't really plug in too many categories just given the time and how quickly we have to get through the surveys. But we did include reasons such as rent increases, loss of employment, sudden illness, divorce, separation, or of course COVID-19 pandemic. Some people are still feeling the impacts of COVID. 10 people indicated that they couldn't afford the rent increase in Glendale. About 23% reported loss of employment. Close to 6% was due to unexpected illness. And then, you know, everything else is kind of below that. Other reasons, don't know, refuse. But some of the primary reasons was loss of employment, expected illness, couldn't afford the rent increases in the city. We also see that divorce and separation is one of the top answers too at times with folks, you know, experiencing homelessness or at risk. This tells us a little bit, and we also wanted to know if there was rent increases that caused homelessness. We kind of wanted to know the range. So what were they currently paying, and what did that rent increase look like for some people? And as you can see the range, I mean, the highest was about $1,880 to $2,250. That was the range. It was between $400 to $2,250. And if you look at the rent amount, it's within the fair market rents for a lot of our programs, which means there's other factors, right? Inflation, just cost of living in general for individuals and families has also gone up. So that, coupled with everything else, coupled with that, you know, most people are finding it difficult to afford their rent. Age, race and ethnicity demographics, about 31% of the population identified as white, 16% as Black, African American, 6% Asian, 6% multi-race. About 2% of that population fell within the white Armenian category, and then Hispanic, Latina, Latino, and white Hispanic, Latina, Latino population, we were at 32% and 6%. So they are overrepresented in this group, the Hispanic, Latino population, and Black African American. There seems to be a disparity when you look at the total population in Glendale versus those we are counting for during the PIT. They are overrepresented in our numbers, and this was the case last year as well, similar to this year. So we are completing a racial equity analysis yearly now, and also working with LA CES systems to see how we can just keep an eye on this trend and how we can help folks within these groups quickly stabilize and get into our system and into permanent housing. So that's just the overview of race and age. About 27% of the population, they were under the age of 18. I do want to say that they were not unaccompanied, which means these were children or youth that were part of a family, a household. That number has slightly gone up from last year. About 3% fell within the age range of 18 to 24. 29% within 25 to 44 age range. 27 fell within 45 to 64. And then, as you can see, 11% 65 and up. Gender demographics, so about 41% or 41 individuals identified as male, 58 identified as female. That's in the sheltered category. In the unsheltered, we had about 59 male, 20 females, one identified as different identity. I do want to say that there was more categories under the gender group in our survey. It's just this pulls from just based on the answers that we get from the community. But we did have other categories that were also available. In the sheltered population, about 50% were children. It's kind of evenly split between children and adults, 50-50. In the unsheltered, we had 1.3%, and about 99% were unhoused, which in a way is a relief to know that at least most of our families that have youth or children have a shelter during the night of the count. At least this is what our PIT numbers tell us. We had 78 families and 101 individuals that were accounted for. Total count of single adults were at 123. During the 2024 count, we were at 101. I'm sorry, I think it's the other way around. So overall, there was a 17% decrease. 2023 count households with children, we were at 72. This year, we're at 78. So there's about a 7% increase in our households with children. This is actually another trend. We are consistently seeing an increase in our homeless families. And I think if we keep going at this rate, we're probably going to see more chronically homeless families, something that we have not seen in the past. But this is another area that we're keeping a close eye on to be able to identify what are some programs or best practices, what can we do to reduce this rate for our homeless families that are experiencing homelessness. So that's, I think, I did kind of touch on this last year. We included this the hotspots this year as well. Same as last year, we do see a majority of our unhoused individuals on the morning and night of the count near downtown, specifically located near Central Park. So Adult Recreation Center or the library, Brand is where we typically come across most of the unhoused population on the night of the count. And this is another thing that we're keeping an eye on. We do use GIS mapping during our outreach efforts too, to be able to kind of look at it for the entire year-round, where we see some of those hotspots in our community. And I think that's it. I did want to say that we've made a lot of progress, especially in the last year, and we want to continue working as part of our coordinated entry system. We really do want to work with our local agencies, Essentia, Home Again LA. We want to work with our county partners, our service planning area lead, LA Family Housing, Village Family Services. Actually, they serve as our coordinated entry system for homeless youth. We want to be able to expand our services and our resources locally, and we can't do that without the support of our county partners and our organizations. So that's something that we've been really focusing on heavily, especially the last year, to pull in a lot of support for our homeless response system. So that's a priority for us, and we will be continuing to do that. And then just to continually work strategically to reprioritize available funds in our current homeless response system to really target programs that are needed and to fill in the gaps and really help reduce our numbers, especially for folks who are experiencing homelessness for the first time, just to kind of keep a better eye on that inflow into our system. And that concludes my meeting. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you for this report. I, just really quick, I didn't see the presentation attached to the agenda. I did see the numbers, but the presentation was very helpful because it provided the visuals and I think a better summary than just the raw data that was attached. So I don't know, is there a way to amend our digital agenda to add this attachment? Or is it, I don't know how putting up our agenda works.
I wouldn't be able to add it to what's posted online, but I believe we're going to be posting it on our website at some point once.
Great.
Yes.
The report. So it'll be available. And if you'd like me to forward you the PowerPoint presentation, I can do so as well.
Okay, great. Yeah, as long as it's available to the public somehow, that
Yes.
would be great.
President Alcazar will be posting it on the Homeless Services homepage, so it'll be available for the public to view as well.
Thank you. Holding the meeting to see if we need to do something. No? Okay,
We're good.
great.
Okay.
Did anyone else have any questions? Go ahead. Go down the.
Thank you for a complete presentation, but still have a question. If I'm walking downtown Glendale on Brand and I'll see in a corner someone is sleeping, how can I help? Who should I report besides the police?
Sure, absolutely. Commissioner Kalfayan, we do have outreach teams that are deployed throughout the city during the day. You guys the public is more than welcome to contact our outreach teams, either by phone, email. The Glendale Police Department also provides outreach, so they do have their own separate phone line. We do have a flyer. Actually, my flyer was attached to my presentation. We do have a flyer that has a QR code, so the community can also put in a request by just going through our website. So there's different ways. You could either call in, you can email, or you can put in a service request through. We have an online portal that individuals can go on to be able to put in a service request on our website. We do have these outreach flyers, and we have actually been trying to pass them out throughout the community centers. We've been really trying to go out. I have a team member in-house who goes out every morning now, at least 3 days a week. We pass out flyers, we pass out resources like the Sunday lunch program here in Glendale, our mobile showers that are available now twice a week at the Salvation Army. We do have some flyers that go out. So we're trying to do our very best to have this information be available to the entire community. And we have noticed that there are a lot more requests that are coming in through our online system. But yeah, we're more than happy to, if anybody in the community wants flyers or more information, we're more than happy to share those details.
Once we call them, they come and pick them up and they shelter them, or what happens?
Commissioner Kalfayan, unfortunately, I think sometimes it takes multiple attempts for our outreach teams to be able to connect with the homeless individuals. Some are more service resistant. Some do want the assistance, and this year, actually, City Council approved a budget for a hotel program, a year-round hotel program. As you know, we don't have enough shelter beds in our community, so one of the things we're trying to do is increase the number of beds so that we are able to help individuals who want to get off the streets. So we do have that assistance at the moment. But sometimes it does take multiple attempts, and our outreach teams try to do the best they can to build rapport and to connect, but it does take a little bit longer at the moment to engage and bring folks into the shelter. But we really try to provide that wraparound service. Services are available, and at this time, hotel beds are also available for those who are seeking assistance.
Thank you, Commissioner Kalfayan, for that question. And thank you, Mrs. Sayan, for kind of humanizing the process, right? Because it's easy, I think, to try and want to, help the situation. And I think it's important that we all understand that some folks might have a distrust for people who they don't know. And I think that's normal, right? And the amazing part of our outreach process is that we do take the time to build rapport, and we do try to connect in every way possible, which starts the conversation, right, to try and help these folks receive services. So, and unlike our larger neighbors who, their counts are a lot larger than Glendale's. Our small but mighty team here in Glendale does provide that sort of white glove treatment, I think, to connect these folks to the services that they need. So, go ahead, Commissioner Meek.
Just for the sake of people who are watching or will be watching the video, can you give the phone number for the outreach team?
Of course, absolutely. So they can contact Essentia. They do outreach from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m., Monday through Friday, 818-246-7900, and they can dial extension 103 to get the outreach staff directly, or they can contact 818-248-5885 and speak with Alfred Hernandez, who's our lead outreach case manager for Essentia, or they can email outreachstaff@essentia.ca.org. Outreach for families. So if you come across any homeless families, Home Again LA is our lead for that outreach program. They also operate from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday. Their phone number is 818-847-1547. At the moment, they could speak with Crystal Lee. And if they're interested in their website, they can go through homeagainla.org. They can also contact the Glendale Police Department Core Unit, Community Outreach Resource Engagement Unit at 818-548-4015. The community can also report instances like outreach requests, such as encampment, using My Glendale app, or reporting online. Unfortunately, we only have the QR code for My Glendale app, but if they go on the website, they'll be able to get that information as well. We do have the shower program as well here at the Salvation Army, Monday through Friday, from 9 to 11 a.m. Sometimes they go through, I think, noon. But we have the flyers for that as well. They do provide a warm meal along with the showers. And they're also expanding now to bring in vaccination clinics, mobile clinic. They're planning on expanding that program. So if anybody wants more information, again, we have flyers, or they can visit our website.
Thank you.
Since we have shower for them and food, do we have any help for them if they're not healthy?
Yes, Commissioner Kalfayan. You mean like medical assistance or? Mm-hmm. We do. We have the mobile Pacific Clinics, Comprehensive Community Center. I believe they have a mobile van now dedicated to Glendale. So they'll come out and they'll do health assessments, I think sometimes even dental work. 2 weeks ago, they had a vaccination clinic where folks could come in and get vaccinated. We have been talking, and there's plans to expand beyond health, like bringing in a mobile DMV for folks to get connected with an ID and other types of assistance that they need. We kind of want to use that as our hub to bring in all our providers. And then outreach efforts will also take place at that site. It's just easier to connect with folks once they get a warm meal, a shower, and they're connected to services. So that's the plan. But for now, it's not on a consistent basis. The health clinic, they come in on certain days, designated days. But we're informed. We're notified, and we let the community know when they're coming in.
Do we have enough funds for those plans? Like, to increase the health and
Commissioner Kafayan, we do, for example, the shower program, we do directly fund through our Measure S funds. So this is kind of all folded in. It's part of the shower program. And Salvation Army obviously leverages some of those funds from other grants and services, but city does contribute to the shower program itself. This was kind of a partnership too with Burbank. Burbank also utilizes the Salvation Army for their shower program, so we're kind of working here in Glendale as well. So yeah, we do pay for a portion for the shower program.
Okay, next is you, Commissioner Kevorkian.
Thank you. Thank you for the report. I had two questions. The first one about adult homeless as well. When you're providing the shower services, medical services, or other services, what's the end goal? Are we trying to get them into housing? If they don't want to go into housing, how long are they offered those services? And location-wise, I mean, are we trying to relocate them in a different area of Glendale? Is there a safer place for them? I guess how long will they be on the streets, and how do we convince them not to be, I guess, to help them get housing?
Commissioner Kevorkian, that's a very good question that I don't have the answer to. Sometimes it takes folks a week. Sometimes it takes them 2 days. Sometimes it takes 3 months, or sometimes it takes 10 years. I mean, really, that's how long some of our folks have been out on the street. And the longer they're out on the street, the more difficult it is to bring them in and connect them to services. But this is something new that we're trying with the shower program. We're hoping to expand and just to build rapport, progressive engagement, right? Just connecting them, meeting them where they are. And the other thing we're trying to do is better connect with our county partners. A lot of the mainstream programs and the services are through the county. So by us strengthening our coordination with our county partners, we're able to pull in a lot of support from them locally. So they'll meet us where we are. So I'll be more than happy to report back next year as we make more progress with this program specifically, but really it's just every day there's something different challenges. There's just, it's very complex, but the goal is now with Glendale to have a housing approach to our outreach program and really to be more engaged, consistent engagement, to eventually be able to build that trust with our clients. So that's where we're at today.
That's great, thank you. And my second question is more towards youth. For the unhoused youth, for the youth that are homeless and attending our public schools, whether they're in GUSD or GCC, what are we doing to help them? And exactly what's the process if they don't have family? And again, if they're reluctant, to going into housing, how do we approach that with the youth and I guess make sure that they're taken care of?
We actually have a very strong partnership with our Glendale Unified School District. I have to say we have almost daily communication with GUSD staff. We do have a liaison there that we work with, and she notifies us anytime she happens to come across any families or youth that are experiencing homelessness. And I could say that our response time with our partners, it takes less than 5 minutes at times. Okay, where's this family? Let's meet them where they are. Let's get an intake done. They coordinate very closely with our Home Again LA team here in Glendale. And so we have a very successful partnership. We also work with the Glendale Youth Alliance. They do receive funding from the city through the state for hotel vouchers for homeless youth or foster age youth that's coming through the foster care system. We have been working with them to provide hotel vouchers. We've also worked with them for EHV vouchers for youth. And we're also looking at the possibility of getting foster youth vouchers for our city, maybe through a potential partnership with the Glendale GCC, Glendale Community College. Not just GUSD, but we're also expanding our partnership with GCC to be able to identify foster youth there and provide support. So we have a very good partnership currently.
That's great, thank you. And just a note, I really hope that we can also focus on mental health as well, hopefully for the youth. I know that when they're growing up, it's difficult. So just a note in there, I hope we can increase that as well.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. Move on to this side. Any other comments, questions? No? One comment for me. Thank you again for the report. I think you mentioned that a larger report publication might be coming out with the pit counts and maybe more information. You touched on a few populations that you are seeing growing, right, which were families, sounds like first-time homeless individuals and households, and certain demographics, I think, were maybe staying consistent or growing a little bit. And you mentioned looking into, start strategizing for specific targeted programs or, sort of planning for the potential expansion of these specific populations. Is that something you can share now on what you're looking into, or if this is going to be included in the report? Glad to wait for it.
Sure, President Alcazar. So this year, we will not have a comprehensive homeless count report. It's mainly highlights that we're covering as part of this report. We are actually working on finalizing our homeless action plan. And so a lot of that information will be, included as part of our action plan that we're working on. We did experience some unexpected delays, so the action plan will hopefully be done within the next month or two, which we will bring back to the commission. And so as part of that count, we'll identify what the trends are based on the PIT that we completed. In fact, we'll be going back the last 3 years. And then based on those trends, how we're prioritizing programs. We'll also mention our inventory, right, our current housing inventory, how many programs we have, where the gaps are. So it'll kind of be presented to the commission as part of our action plan.
Okay, great.
But we'll make sure to identify all the gaps and the needs.
Okay,
Yeah.
Sounds good. We'll definitely look forward to seeing the homeless action plan then.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And with that,
President Alcazar, members of the commission, the record will show that ex officio Commissioner Kevorkian joined the meeting at 3 p.m.
thank you.
Next item is 7B, Capital Improvement Program CIP updates.
Good afternoon, thank you. President Alcazar, Commissioners, I'm here to present on item 7B, the Capital Improvement Program update. This is a 6-month update for 2024. The last update was provided mid-December to Commission. So just wanted to highlight projects that have been completed in the last 6 months. We wanted to highlight 2 related to parks. It's Dunsmore Park up in northern Glendale, and then Sports Complex in the San Rafael Hills. So the first project to highlight is the Dunsmore Park Improvement Project, and so this was a full reconstruction of the parking lot area. And so as you can see from the pictures, the deteriorated asphalt was removed from the parking lot and replaced. Installation of new concrete sidewalk and safety improvements were also installed, including a 3-foot fence along the community building and playgrounds, and then also new trees, and then the striping of the playground or of the parking lot. The total cost for this project was $1.1 million, and it was completed on January 10th. The next project I wanted to highlight was at the Sports Complex, and this was a fencing and netting improvement project. And so this actually raised the fence between fields 2 and 3 from approximately 6 feet. Some areas were 10 feet at the dugout, and raised them all the way up to 24 feet. And so that's 12 feet of the fence, and then above that it's 12 feet of netting. And so in the picture, and in this next one too, you can see between the 2 fields now there is this extra safety raised fencing, and so this provide that additional safety to pedestrians walking down this aisle leading to the fields. And again, this project was approximately $68,000. And it was just completed about a few weeks ago. Projects that are currently in construction, we wanted to highlight Fremont Park, a renovation project in about central Glendale, Pacific Park shade and water play feature in South Glendale, and then the Emerald Isle playground replacement in the San Rafael Hills. So starting with Fremont Park, this project was in design development for multiple years. It includes the complete renovation of the park, replacement of all 8 tennis courts, an addition of a new basketball court. The 2 half courts will be joint pickleball courts, a new a soccer field, new play equipment and fitness equipment, and also a pro tennis shop. Total project cost from inception is about $27 million or $26.5 million. It did start construction back in November, and it should be completed between February or April of 2025. I did want to share some pictures. Recently, I took these last week. So you kind of see the label on the plan on the left corner, and you can see kind of where some of these photos were taken. The first one kind of facing the soccer field, the second one kind of backing up a bit from there, and you can kind of see the tennis, the recessed tennis courts there. The third picture is actually between the first 2 and kind of looking diagonally at the 4 tennis courts. And then the last picture in the bottom right is of the new community building and restroom building, and then across from that you can see that's the little tennis pro shop that they're installing. And so it is under construction, but a lot of is still just the ground improvements. They're underway, but this is kind of the current status of those fields and that park improvement. Next, just want to highlight the Pacific Park shade, water play feature, and restroom renovation project. And so this project will add new shade structures over the playgrounds there. So on the top right photo, that's the current status of the playgrounds. You can see marked there is where the new splash pad will be installed, and so that's actually starting this week. So that installation will be completed in the next month and a half. The restroom is going to be finished in the next month, and then the shade canopies will arrive in the next month for full completion of the project in September. And then also on the bottom right, just want to highlight the improvements at the pool. So that's actually new decking, concrete decking that was installed, and as well as the concrete bench in the back corner. And so right now they actually have temporary shade structures there for an event, but permanent shade structures will be put in behind that concrete bench to provide shade in that corner. And lastly, I just want to highlight the Emerald Isle playground replacement project that's currently in construction. So this was to replace the aging playground at Emerald Isle Park. So on the top right, you can see the rendering of that full playground build out. And on the bottom, you can see the current status of the project in construction. So this full project build out is costing approximately $866,000. We did start back in May, and it's anticipated to be completed in September. And Chris will also highlight some of the additional park improvements we're doing around the playground as well. So we do have 3 projects that are still in permitting phase, and they are the Sports Complex Field 3, the artificial turf replacement project, the Verdugo Park North renovation, and then the Babe Herman restroom and ADA improvements. So the Sports Complex Field 3 turf replacement project, this project has been approved by City Council, and we're still waiting for the permit approvals. We already have approved $1.75 million for the construction of the fields. We did receive permit comments, I believe, a month ago, and so we're waiting for those corrections from the consultant. And once those permits are received, it should take about 5 months to complete construction. So we're hoping that can start early next year or sooner. Verdugo Park North renovation. So this is where the old playground was and the restroom building are located. And so this will replace the restroom building with a new community building in addition to the restrooms. It will construct a passive meditation maze where the playground is was located, and will add 3 ADA spots. This project also received permit comments back. This was back in April, and so we're waiting for those responses from the consultant to resubmit, and we're hoping We can bid it in the fall and then construct it by next summer. So that's the timeline for that one. We will provide updates as that moves into construction. And lastly, just highlighting the Babe Herman Restroom and ADA Improvements Project. This is the complete rehabilitation of the existing restroom, in addition of an ADA parking spot and a curb ramp to make the access to the restroom fully ADA compliant. This also received comments back on June 26th, and I just received this morning the consultant responses to those corrections. So hopefully this project can get permits in the next month and then move to construction soon, hopefully to be completed by Q1 2025. So now moving to projects that are in the planning phase. We're highlighting 6 projects here, and actually I forgot to add the 7th, Adams Square Mini Park and Mayor's Bicentennial. That's also summarized. But the 6 projects highlighted here are the Pacific Park Natural Grass Project and the PAC-Ed Artificial Turf Field Replacement Project, Glorieta Tennis Concession Building, and also the Edison easement adjacent to Glorieta Park. So those planning projects, and then Central Park Master Plan and the Dog Park Feasibility Study. So starting with the Pacific Park Natural Grass Project. So this is reconstructing the existing natural grass field. This is the baseball field there at Pacific Park. So one of the first things or main things that is being reconstructed on this field is the grading. So as you can see, the way that it's being designed now is it will grade from the outfields out to the corners. Currently, right now, the site drainage actually drains to the home base, which is actually not the way you're supposed to design the fields, because then you have this accumulation of material at the home base and dugout areas. And so we are redirecting now all the drainage to the outfields. And then you can also see the new concrete ramps that will be accessing the field. So those will also be new to ensure accessibility to the field for both pedestrians and our equipment. And you can also see the fields will still be able to hold 3 soccer fields in the outfield. So we are nearing 90% design, and we're hoping to achieve that by the end of the month. And we're hoping to submit for permitting in the fall and hoping to start construction soon after, with completing the project by next summer or fall. So timeline for that one. Pacific Edison Artificial Turf Multi-Purpose Field. That's the soccer artificial turf field. That's the joint use field with Edison Elementary School. So this is a renovation of that turf field. We just had the kickoff meeting a few weeks ago to initiate that project, and then the consultant's actually going to go out this Wednesday and Thursday to do a site evaluation. So they'll pull up some of that turf, look at the base. They'll actually do some borings to evaluate the infiltration in that area, do some soil testing, because we are having some drainage issues here. And so that'll help to address the stormwater issues that we're seeing there. Another thing we're looking to address as part of the project is to raise the fence on the north side to ensure that the community or the residents on that side aren't being affected by balls going over the fence. So we are anticipating that we will have 100% drawings by the end of the year, with the goal of completing the project by the end of next year. Glorieta Tennis Concession Building. So at Glorieta Park, we are replacing the tennis concession building and also addressing site accessibility. This project has been nearing completion for about 6 months. There was a challenge in addressing the reservoir that's at this site. And so on the bottom right, you can kind of see the section detail where you can see in the bottom right the reservoir 2.5 feet from the footings for this concession building. So we're hoping those have been addressed adequately. And once we do receive final drawings, we will perform a constructability review with Public Works and submit that for permitting. We're hoping this year. Next, regarding the Edison easement that's adjacent to Glorieta Park. So on the bottom right, you can see that's the top corner of Glorieta Park. And so this will actually connect, will be an annex park connection to the existing Glorieta Park. So we are in ongoing negotiations with Edison to enter into a lease agreement for these sites. One challenge that has occurred is that Oakmont golf course is utilizing that north parcel. So that parcel north of Cañada Boulevard is actually has a separate lease agreement with Oakmont Country Club. And so they're actually looking to continue that lease agreement. And so we may actually only look at developing the southern portion of this proposal. So the parcel south of Cañada Boulevard. So we're continuing discussions with Edison on what this lease agreement will look like, and we're waiting for that feedback from them to continue this project. But it is ongoing, and once we have that lease agreement, we will be able to apply for, like, say, grant funding to develop the project further. Central Park master plan. So this project is ongoing. As many have seen, the Armenian American Museum is in construction. Part of what happened at this site, so this is the Central Park Block project, includes the Armenian Museum, Central Park, including the Adult Recreation Center, and then Central Park. And so we're combining all of the parking on the site, moving it underneath the Armenian Museum, and developing a larger park, about an acre of park space within the block. And it will include playgrounds, paseos, and a central lawn open space. And here I can show that rendering on the left here. And so this development is ongoing. City Council did just allocate $10 million in general funds for the project, and staff has applied for at least one additional grant for $6 million through the state parks grant program. We do have an estimated construction cost for this project ranging from 15 to 16 million. And so we are anticipating that 100% construction drawings will be completed by August 2nd, and then we will move into permitting. And we're anticipating that this project will be completed by summer 2026. And then we just wanted to highlight as well, there's an Arts and Culture Commission supported project here. And so on the right, you can see that art piece that will be installed off of Louise Street here. And we've been coordinating with the artist to ensure that there will be an ADA pathway allowable through the art piece. And so you can see how that's been developed on the right. And regarding the dog park feasibility study, I know this was presented to the commission back last September in terms of a final feasibility study. This commission did recommend developing Lot 11 and the Glendale Community College site as a potential dog park. We did provide that recommendation to council, and council did deliberate. They did provide us direction for park staff to continue to negotiate with Glendale Community College on a possible development of that site there, which is ongoing. And then they also gave us direction to look at potentially negotiating a temporary dog park at Palmer Park, which we are looking into, and then to continue looking at other possibilities for dog parks. And so staff is developing a concept for Palmer Park Dog Park / community garden, and we will be presenting that to the community in the fall, just to get feedback on whether or not that is actionable and whether it's feasible for that site and how the community feels about it. And then in a parallel effort, we do have an RFP out now to update our recreation element, and as part of that process, we will be looking for additional dog park opportunities. So that this project is ongoing in terms of looking for additional dog parks in the city. And lastly, just want to highlight that we have kicked off a design process to redesign our Adams Square Mini Park and our Mayor's Bicentennial Park playground replacements. And so you have pictures on the right of the existing playgrounds. We have about $500,000 in Measure A funds for each park to develop concepts. And so back in May, we did release a survey to gauge from the community about what kind of styles they would like for this playground. And so what we've seen so far is for both playgrounds. For Adams, we received about 156 responses, and for Mayor's, about 63 responses regarding styles, about types of amenities they like to see. What we did see is the majority have said they'd liked more of a nature-inspired type playground. What we are going to go back to the community with now is we're going to develop 4 concepts for each site. We're working with 2 different playground developers, so we're working with Landscape Structures and, what's the other one? Compan, to develop 2 designs each. So we'll have 4 designs for each playground. We'll go back to the community, and then they'll vote on the style that they like the most. And based on that recommendation, we're going to make that recommendation to Commission and Council for awarding a final design for that playground. So that will be coming up soon. And so after we're giving the consultants through July to come up with those designs, and then in August, we're going to go back out to the community to present those ideas. And then lastly, just want to highlight the projects that are still underway that were approved as part of last year's CIP. So there is a land acquisition project that has been established for an acquisition, and so we have a fund established for new park acquisitions, specifically mostly for South Glendale, and so we're continuing to look for an acquisition opportunity. And then Cerritos Splash Pad and Restroom Replacement Project is starting to be scoped, and so we're hoping to release an RFP soon to get a designer on board to move forward with that project. And I was actually out there this morning, and it's definitely highly used. I was talking to the attendant out there. He's mentioning the restroom. There was a fire with a porta potty that was out there, and so the restroom does have these like burn scars on it, and so the replacement of the restroom is pretty necessary. And so we're looking at ways of both improving that restroom, adding in a treatment facility for the new splash pad, and incorporating that all together. And we're also noting that the PIP surfacing for that playground may also need to be replaced. So that may be something we look at as part of this project. And also we're working with Public Works to initiate the Civic Auditorium wood floor replacement. And then also wanting to note that there is also an approved CIP program for this current fiscal year. And so we'll be starting to move forward the Verdugo Park South renovation. So that includes the playground in the south and the restroom. The Doctor's House restoration and preservation project. We'll also initiate the Shoal Ball Field, Field 1 bullpen installation. So that's something we're going to be talking about installing this year. And then lastly, Sports Complex Field 4 and 5, we'll be looking to plan the replacement of those 2 fields. So that concludes the CIP update presentation, and I'm available to answer any questions that you guys may have.
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez. Again, opening it up to my colleagues for questions, comments. Nope. Okay.
I have questions. Fremont Park, the plans that they're working on now, are there drawings for the pavilions and playground that we could see?
Well, since the project is in construction, there is a full construction set, so we can pull those and provide those to the commission if needed.
I would like to see what those look like, if I could.
So the playgrounds and the fitness equipment?
And the pavilions, so they're not purely functional, but they do look nice. And the playground, hey, I want the kids to have something good. Also, the Glorietta, I was wondering, we're not putting playgrounds in that, both or one, whichever winds up happening, the southern or the northern, but we're not putting playgrounds in there. That'll be more of a natural.
Yeah, passive park, yeah,
Yeah.
natural elements.
When I look up passive and active park, the difference is someone's in them or not. That's why I try to avoid saying passive. It's just a nature park. And if we could, I would love to see some sort of, it can be art, it can be identification of the trees and the flora that is in the area, so that when people go there, they have something to look at and say, oh, that's really nice, I like that, what is it? Type of thing.
Definitely.
Also, going back to the Central Park Master Plan, I see I provide a variety of diverse community events and programming complementary to the museum. Does that mean that we couldn't do some of our outdoor concerts in that? Is it have to be related to the museum? Or we can do other concerts or Shakespeare in the Park if we want to?
Chair Alcazar, members of the commission, that amphitheater area, that entire area where we're going to be having special events. So that area is going to be programmed by Community Services and Parks as well as Library, Arts, and Culture.
Okay.
So, but the museum will also have some time available for them to use for their events.
Right.
But we will be having Shakespeare in the park, concerts in the park, movies in the park, Battle of the Bands, all different types of events. So we are going to activate that park, either CSP or Library, Arts, and Culture.
Okay. And in that design that I see there, it's very difficult to see. Can you enlarge that?
Not right.
I can't tell what's all in the upper right-hand corner, the different things that are there in this design. I see it's written down, but I can't read it. It's way too small.
The upper right-hand corner is going to be the water feature playground. There's also an experimental forest in that area. And then in the middle, there's an area where we can have our park patrons sit, play their chess, backgammon, as well as
little
some...
blue square?
The blue square is the splash pad.
Blue square's
that's
the
the
splash
splash
pad,
pad.
And
yes.
there's 2 playgrounds around it, and then above that's the library lawn, the Forest Boulevard to the right. Below that blue square is the restroom, and then here's the seating area. That's the splash pad that they're having.
And you said both on the north and south of the splash pad are both 2 playgrounds?
Yeah, see to the right there, that's the 5 to 12, the larger one, and then the 2 to 5-year-old
Okay.
playgrounds.
And where are the places for people to sit and read?
So there's a spot, there's like a courtyard with like a grid of trees, and then there's going to be an existing tree a little north of that, and just to the left. So under that tree, there's all these sitting and tables and benches there.
Yeah, because I do want to see a connection to the library, which is, and are they, because I would believe that the library would do some outdoor events for the children, like, the reading of stories and things like that, and I want to have a place for that to happen.
And even leading into the library now, there's like a plaza that they've developed. So there's a ramp and a stairs, one on each side, and then it leads onto a plaza with some seating. So just the south entrance to this library, right there.
Yeah.
You can see like that. So and that'll help lead you then into the children's area to the right, and then that grid of tables and trees.
The south entrance to the library, which is between the museum and the library, that'll still be there?
Mhm.
Okay, so that's where that ramp exists now.
And then right below that is going to be the amphitheater.
Uh-huh.
And then the Great Lawn, we call it, where we're going to have our concerts and
Okay.
all of our special events.
Great. All right, yeah. Thank you. In the little pathway that's between the museum and the ARC, that'll be landscaped, I presume?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right, thank you. I hope to see a bigger vision of this so I can read everything at some point. But thank you very much. That's all the questions I had.
Thank you. Any other comments? Oh, go ahead.
I don't have a question, but I just wanted to say I practice at Emerald, and I always see the workers working on like the playground, and it looks a lot nicer, and like the green, I don't know, it's just vibrant, and I feel like the kids will like it more than the older one. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you for that. I had a few questions as well. Going to the photos actually that you shared of Fremont Park's construction progress. I recall that we committed to preserving a few trees. And I know this is not a holistic it doesn't capture all of the park's construction site. I see one palm tree being preserved right there on the right, bottom right.
So actually, if I had turned right, there's like a grid of palm trees that were
Okay.
still there. So I didn't keep that picture in here because I wasn't sure. Besides the trees, there was like nothing else
Okay.
over there. But I did know they maintained a certain number of those trees, and
So it was just those palm trees that were still there?
I believe so. I may have to look at my phone again to see.
Okay. No, I mean,
So- But I can follow up with like the trees that were preserved, and is that what you're?
Yes,
Trying to
that would
confirm.
be great. I recall that there were a few native trees to Southern California that I thought were supposed to be preserved, and I'm not seeing them in these photos. All I see are palm trees. So I hope those were not bulldozed.
I'll confirm for
okay.
next time I get back to you.
Great, thank you. And then I just wanted to comment on the engagement process that you're doing for the two playground locations for Adams Square Mini Park and Mayor's Bicentennial. I appreciate that, you're involving the local community and having them vote and participate in what the design will look like. Because I know we don't always get the chance to do that. So thank you for that.
And I did want to mention I'll also do a day in the park for each one of those, and when we have the design concepts, and so I'll try to engage more people directly in what kind of ideas they have and what they like and don't like about the concepts we're proposing.
Oh, love that. Okay. So a day in the park, meaning you'll do on-site
Yeah.
workshop or outreach.
They have like boards up of the concepts and just have people like maybe with a dot vote
Yeah.
on which ones they like the best and just get an idea of what in
Great.
person versus just doing online, just so we engage people who are using the site itself, and maybe try to understand when people are using it the most and try to align and go during that time.
Yeah, love that. Okay. I'm looking forward to those outreach events. Okay, we've had another comment.
Just a comment about the art piece. Do you know where that's going to be placed in Central Park? I can't really tell. And what's the background of the art piece? Because I'm just curious. I know the arts commissioners agreed on that, but I'm just wanting to know what the concept is behind the art piece with the museum and the Central Park and all that.
So the entrance will be here off Luis, so like right there where Savag's highlighting. And so it'll be through that. I think they're removing that tree that was shown there. And so instead of the tree, you actually walk through this art piece that's going off. And I believe it's going to be Corten steel, so that's the color variation. So it is a steel material. And I think it's supposed to kind of show kind of that a natural deviation, almost like a droplet in water or something. So it kind of shows that like movement is what I think it's trying to replicate. But what will be interesting, it's going to be a full, I think it's 12 feet tall steel structure, and they've actually adjusted it. So some of the challenges with having a structure like this and meeting ADA is that, so they've had to adjust it so that now no intrusions are, I think it's between 3 and 6 feet, because someone who's blind could run into something like that. As well as these vertical elements, you can't have anything that's between 4 and 9 inches, because that's a width that someone can get their head lodged in and then get it stuck. And so those are challenges that we've had with this art piece, is making it ADA. So they have been able to adjust it now that it should avoid some of those risks, but and meet full ADA and have that walkthrough, and retain some of, I think, that effect that they were going for. But I can provide you maybe with the artist interpretation if you're wanting. I can provide that to the commissioners as well.
Thank you. No, I was just curious. But all of those, different things we think about, getting your head stuck, we don't never think about those. So it's very interesting. But thank you for that.
Great, thank you. Okay.
One other thing I just wanted to bring up, is it possible at some point that the commissioners could go to Fremont Park?
Yes, we can set up a date and time
Okay, thank you.
for a tour.
Okay. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Next item is 7C, Recreation and Community Service Section Monthly Activity Report for June 2024.
Good afternoon, President Alcazar, members of the commission. My name is Savag Garabedian, Community Services Manager with the Parks Department, and I'll be going over what we did during the month of June and what's coming up for the next month. Cool. So, June is when our summer season is at its peak, starting with our summer day camps program. The department is currently operating 10 different day camps at 7 locations throughout the 10 weeks of summer break. So in total, this year we are providing childcare services for 3,691 duplicated participants. Duplicated because some weeks a child might be at Pacific, next week they'll be at Nature, next week they'll be at a basketball camp, whatever the case may be. There's 3,691 kids during the 10 weeks of summer that we are providing childcare for. It's a 10-week program. Some sites are offering a little less, such as Nature Camp. It's only operating for 6 weeks. Some camps are only 4 weeks long, while the majority of them, our core camps, are 10 weeks long. Pacific Community Pool, after being shut down since February through the month of May, Pacific Community Pool reopened its doors on Friday, May 31st to the public and jumped right into extended summer operating hours. And those summer hours will operate through August 11, 2024. In June, the summer lesson program began, and a total of 11,148 people have entered the pool during the month of June to swim. Some are coming in for recreation swim, others are coming for swim lessons, lap swim camps, and private rentals as well. Our Trails and Open Space program, on June 1st, 34 participants went on the interpretive hike, What's the Buzz on Bees? On June 8th, 7 volunteers participated in the Riverwalk Workday at Glendale Narrows Riverwalk, and on June 15, 11 people volunteered at the Wilderness Workday at Deukmejian Wilderness Park. On June 22, 61 participants attended the campfire program, Snakes and Lizards and Frogs Oh My. Throughout the month of June, staff continued to work with interested people on becoming Trail Safety Patrol members. Staff coordinated a second CPR and first aid course and ran additional orientation meetings for volunteers to join the program. Our Stormbar Nature Center is currently open Saturdays and Sundays from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., Fridays from 3 to 6, and we are also taking reservations. During the month of June, 820 guests visited the Stormbar Nature Center during the 14 days it was open. The June Monthly Go program was held on June 8 and 23. They learned all about grizzly bears and their history in Southern California. And thanks to a grant provided by Metro, we are continuing to offer weekly busing from South Glendale to Deukmejian Wilderness Park. 20 participants took advantage of the bus this past month. Our Youth and Family Services program is continuing to operate even though school is out. On June 14, TNO participants launched their summer session with creative arts and crafts activities and games. On June 21st, TNO participants played a Minute of Fun, board game type of an activity featuring 237 different one-minute challenges. And then on June 28th, TNO hosted its annual summer movie featuring this Shrek movie series. Our STAR Students Training as Role Models program continued during the month of June. On June 18 and 25, STAR students met at Pacific Community Center, kicking off their summer programs and activities. During the summer, our STAR students will meet earlier in the day. They'll participate in various recreational activities, start their summer reading journals, as well as visit Pacific Community Pool on Tuesdays. Our Maple All-Inclusive Playdate took place on Saturday, June 15 from 11 to 1. Our senior programs and lunchtime celebrations continued in June. We had a presentation with Glendale Library Arts and Culture and USC Vertigo Hills Hospital on solo aging. This is seniors who are typically living alone and are not in daily communication with their friends and family, and they're aging, tips and tricks on how to reduce the effects of aging alone or while living alone. We also had our Father's Day luncheon during our meals program at Spar Heights Community Center and the Adult Recreation Center on Thursday, June 13th. And in collaboration with LA County Department of Mental Health, we did a series of 4 different presentations on mental health, where a total of 40 participants came. On each one of those days, we presented a different topic, all at the Adult Recreation Center, and participants had an opportunity for Q&A as well. Our Elderly Nutrition Program served 3,040 meals during the month of June, and 1,470 clients were served home-delivered meals during the month of June. Our SSP program served 55 unduplicated clients. And our senior needs assessment has now been completed. All of the surveys all the surveys collected between the months of January and June 2024 are now being reviewed by our consultant, Maroon Society. Over 1,200 surveys were submitted. Of the 1,200 surveys, 31% of those surveys were completed in something other than English. Specifically, 31% were submitted in Armenian, Spanish, or Korean. Good. Like I said, the consultant's currently reviewing the survey results and will be presenting it to us, and eventually we will present it to Commission. Upcoming programs and events. Summer concerts in the park, those kicked off last Wednesday at Verdugo Park on July 10. We'll be running concerts in the park every Wednesday through August 14. We have concerts on Fridays at Brand Park, done in coordination with Library Arts and Culture Department. Those will run through August 30th, and we have a Thursday night series starting August 1st here at Perkins Plaza, just outside the GWP and between the GWP and MSP buildings. Teen Night Outs will continue throughout the month of July, and we have a presentation coming up on July 26th, Let's Be Drug Free, and we'll be discussing various pitfalls some teens may face, from drugs to vaping and those colorful plastic things. We will be having our Wilderness Work Day on July 20th from 8 to 1. July 20, keep that date in mind. We have Wander the Wilderness bus event also on July 20th. And I said keep it in mind because it is also the department's, and if I'm not mistaken, the city's largest special event, Cruise Night. The 29th annual Cruise Night will take place on July 20th from 5:30 to 10:30 p.m. With regards to Cruise Night, some facts: we have over 375 classic cars already submitted participating in the event. We have 60 plus vendors participating in the event, and staff have collected over $49,000 in donations and sponsorships for the event. Commissioners, please reach out to me or Gabrielle after the meeting. If you have not received your VIP tickets, you should already have them in your possession, but we'll get them to you before you leave. On July 27th, we have a campfire program, the Bare Essentials. We have an Ikebana workshop at the Japanese Tea House and Garden at Brand Park, coming up on Sunday, July 28th. National Night Out will be coming up really fast. It's approaching. It'll be on Tuesday, August 6th, 2024. While we're displaying the information for Pacific Park and Community Center, Pacific Park and Community Center is a place for residents to go when their local neighborhoods are not having National Night Out, organized National Night Out events. But we encourage those who are watching to see what their local community is doing, what their local neighborhoods are doing, and participate in their National Night Out events. And if they don't find any options around their own homes, near their own homes, you are more than welcome to attend the one at Pacific Park. We have Riverwalk Workday coming up on August 10th. Our Go Community program will continue. Let me catch up here. That one will also be on August 10th. And that concludes my presentation if anybody has any questions.
Thank you. Okay, go ahead. We'll start. Ex officio Commissioner Kevorkian.
Mine is just a reminder about the firework for the cruise night. What time will?
So fireworks will be towards the end of the program, between 10:30 p.m. And they will be from the main stage.
I had a question about the summer camps, only because I grew up in them, so they're a fond memory of mine. But I used to go to Dunsmore Park summer camp before I went to Verdugo, and I noticed that we don't have that anymore. And also, just in North Glendale in general, we don't have a camp. And I know we have Dunsmore Elementary, Monte Vista, we have Locker Center Elementary. I mean, we have so many elementary schools in North Glendale. I figured maybe there might be a need. Do we know anything about that?
Sure. President Alcazar, Kevorkian. So with North Glendale, we do offer two camps currently. We offer Spar Heights Community Center and we offer Nature Camp. Those are primarily the two camps that we offer in the North Glendale community. The North Glendale community, we've seen over the past 15 years with our summer day camp program, is it is in heavy competition with various other agencies that provide camp, such as the YMCA of the Foothills. That's how we know them recently. And they do take a lot of participants from that area and that neighborhood. It's a more affluent community in comparison to South Glendale, which is why people have that opportunity to go to those camps as well. Unfortunately, our numbers at Spar Heights aren't what they used to be in comparison to years past, and that's because Spar Heights is a half-day camp only, and that restriction is due to our contractual obligations with LA County and the Senior Meals Program. Spar Heights Community Center, being a former post office, is very limited in space. Jam-packing a bunch of kids in that facility isn't the greatest idea. So Dunsmore, I believe we took over to Nature, or I'll let Gabrielle continue with the other history of it.
Yeah, so the history with Dunsmore, we used to offer a lower cost camp at Brand, and Dunsmore was kind of our middle of the road camp, and this was before Pacific Community Center and Maple Park offered camps. So when we opened the community centers at Pacific and Maple, we offered a lower cost option in those neighborhoods for the children, and we moved the medium level field trip camp from Dunsmore over to Brand Park at that point in time. So we still offer the program, we've just shifted things around since we've been able to add on so many different locations.
Sure, yeah, and thank you for the reminder about YMCA, because I totally forgot about that. So I'm happy, the students have opportunity in North Glendale with Spar Heights as well, with the half-day camp and YMCA, so thank you.
Great, thank you. Any other questions? Comments? Nope, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next item.
Next item, 7D, Park Services Section Monthly Activity Report for May 2024.
Thank you, President Alcazar, members of the commission. For the month, the Park Services section completed 86 work orders for non-routine repair, preventative maintenance tasks in the month of May as follows. Groundskeepers completed 25 work orders, pesticide applicator completed 1, irrigation repair completed 60 for a total of 670.75 labor hours. And I have several projects to present. At Brand Park, you were shown this last month at the commission meeting. This is the continuation of the Doctor's House improvements that we've been doing for their upcoming meeting on the 20th. This is the work that was started that you were shown last month, and then, well, actually the last two. So we're getting ready and then started laying the bricks. And for their monument, the monument was completed. It looks great. The Glendale Historical Society is very happy with it. And so we moved on to upgrading the landscape around the monument and also in the area approaching the Doctor's House along the road. There's some guys working on it. So we planted it. Because of the meeting, we planted it real heavy and with large, pretty well-established plants, so it looks like it's been there for a while. And we tried to, put as much color around it as possible. We have daylilies as a backdrop, and then star jasmine in the front. So it'll look really, really nice around that monument. And I'm very excited about the landscape and along the fence line. I used some plants that I love very much that I see in Tennessee, where I'd love to go. We used oak leaf hydrangea, beautiful flowers, beautiful shrub. We do have them, although they grow very well in the south. We do have them at Glendale Heritage Garden, and they're doing really, really well. So here's the guys, Sergio. This is in process of doing the planting along the fence. That's Victor and Marvin. And this is when the planting was done. The oak leaf hydrangeas are the larger plants, and that is a Yaupon holly that is going to form somewhat of a hedge in front of it. It's going to look really great. I think it'll just accent the Doctor's House very, very well in the long term when all this grows in. There they are finishing up the planting at the monument, and you can see the kiosk for the doctor's house in the back there. And we also continued that landscape on the other side where there's a drinking fountain, sort of a historic-looking drinking fountain with a dog bowl. And so we have that sort of accenting the entrance of the doctor's house. And there's the, so they went in and mulched after they had done the planting, so that's the monument, which will have the plaques that they're going to, for the National Historic Registry, they'll be presenting on Saturday. They didn't want to have them mounted on there yet, so that when they're presenting the plaques, that people can be inside on flatter ground when they're looking at that. So that was the monument and finished. And then at Palmer Park, we unfortunately have had a graffiti artist going around and did a substantial amount of graffiti, not only in Palmer Park, but I from gather on private buildings in the neighborhood, as well as Windsor Mini Park got quite a bit. So we did go in and have to clean up an awful lot of graffiti. I don't like showing these, but this is just the reality. So the little smiley faces are covering profanity. So that's what that's all about. There's the guys working on getting it all cleaned up. They did a real nice job. There you can see the wall where before it was just covered in the graffiti. We try and get to this as soon as possible. We do get a police report on these large incidents of graffiti so that, you know, we have a record of them. But we do, the minute the police leave, the guys go over there and do clean up this graffiti. So, and unfortunately, this happened at the Riverwalk as well. Again, we have to cover up some of the items that are on the wall there. But the guys went in and that we just paint over. We don't, it's difficult to try and make it look real pretty underneath the bridge. But so, and we have to use multiple colors of paint. But there was so much graffiti there. Emerald Isle, this is kind of a continuation of Joe's CIP report, because we found that in this project, there was a lot of work. You had heard sort of a theme on a number of Joe's projects regarding drainage. And that's one thing here at Emerald that you'll see in the pictures coming up, that drainage became a major issue very early on the project that we have to address. This, however, is the entrance to the park. We went in, the guys took out the existing landscape and they went ahead and replanted it. So it looks nice and fresh. This is the drainage that I was referring to. This is water that is coming from behind the playground. On the north end of the playground, we found an aquifer underground, and we exposed it at about 7 feet underground, and it just has been flowing for months. And we have to pump this out regularly, but we're working on a system that will remove the water on a consistent basis, because what's happening is that water was actually coming up from underneath the playground and causing drainage problems, and it will destroy the PIP finish and the base underneath it. And we're going to pump it into this V ditch here, which the guys did a bunch of work clearing the brush so that they could get into this drainage V ditch, and so that we can work on it. That's Victor clearing it out there. And we're actually seeing water coming up from underneath the V ditch. If there's some cracks in it where water is, I mean, it's a very interesting project, and from a drainage standpoint, because we're finding it is groundwater that's coming from the valley above the playground. And you'll see the guys had to dig a rather deep trench there, because that's the north end of the playground. And when the contractor was attempting to remove the existing footings from the old playground, they actually got their tractor stuck in about halfway up the tractor in mud and water, because That's how wet it was. Now it's solid, so we'll have a good playground for a very long time because we remove this water before it gets into the playground, and it will give us a much longer life of this playground. There you can see the minute they dig down, that water just bubbles up, and we have to remove it every 2 to 3 days. And then they went ahead and dug a trench above it to try and relieve the pressure on the big trench. So that's where all the water is going to be drained to. That's the brush they removed in order to clear the V ditch. And these are the trenches they're digging. We're going to be putting perforated pipe in there to remove the water, and it will go, it's so deep that we can't kind of surface drain it. We have to run it into a sump pit and pump it out. So that's, but like I said, it's worth it because it's going to give us a real nice playground for a very long time. So to be continued, you're going to see more of that, I can promise you. And that was my presentation for today. Are there any questions?
Thank you.
I have a comment.
Yes, sir.
At the doctor's house, where you put the plaque is going to be, on the other side of that fence is a large palm tree.
Yeah.
We have acorn woodpeckers in that palm tree. They're storing a whole lot of acorn. I spotted when I was out there, and it's beautiful to see.
Yes.
But I wanted to let you know in case you weren't aware of it.
I hadn't noticed that. No, I've been kind of more ground focused. Yeah, I've been ground focused and on the house. But next time I'm out there, I'm gonna look.
That's on the fence, the chain link fence that's just south of the dog water fountain.
Yes.
The water fountain needs some work.
Yes, it needs to be unplugged. So yeah, there's wisteria on the fence at the corner by the.
And it's quite lovely right now. It's blooming.
Yeah, now is a great time for wisteria, and one of the reasons for the planting that we did along the fence there is because we attempted to have the iceberg white roses along the entire fence, but that being so shaded and underneath the pine trees didn't work. The hydrangeas and the holly will tolerate the shade rather well, and it should fill in real nicely. And I really do feel that with the roses at either end and then that planting, it'll complement the doctor's house really nicely. I think it just goes right along with the architecture personally.
Okay. That's all I had. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. I believe that is everything on our agenda, correct? I did want to go back to an agenda item because there was something that Commissioner Meek wanted to bring up, and we needed to sort of hopefully potentially bring up in the future meeting. So I was wondering if we can go back to, what was it? Item 4, commission staff comments, really quickly. Is that okay? Okay.
I am currently on the selection committee for the next student commissioner, and I found that I am too busy on my other things to do that. I'd like to revisit that and see if we could appoint someone else to do that. It would encounter a delay slightly of our new commissioners, but I feel like I need to do that.
Chair Alcazar, members of the commission, we will bring back a report next meeting. There will be a delay by 1 month. Our goal was to have the new ex officio commissioner, I believe, start in September. So the memo will start in October then, once the final selection is made.
Thank
So
you.
we'll bring a report next, as an action item next month, for the commission to decide on the second panelist.
Okay, thank you.
Great, thank you. And next meeting, right, we'll bring this back and revisit who will be on the new selection committee, right?
Yes.
Correct? Okay. Thank you. And with that, it is 4:22 and we can adjourn.